Hi everyone. Thank you for checking out another one of my videos. Today I am at St. Mary's Cemetery in Hamilton, New Jersey. It's in Mercer County. I've been debating whether or not to do this video. I know I put an intro out that I'd be doing it, but I've just been pushing it off and off and off. Uh, the things I'm going to talk about in this video aren't necessarily graphic, but sick. Disturbing. It involves pedophilia. And if you don't want to listen, I don't blame you. But me as a parent, it hits me a little bit different. I know I have a lot of friends who have children, and especially the age of this victim, 7-year-old girl. I can see her grave. It's right next to me on the side. It's pretty. Um, but let me take you back, because it's literally been a little over 30 years since this occurred. And of course, we're talking about the story of little Megan Kanka. If you don't know who she is, you're probably familiar with Megan's Law. That's the law that was passed after Megan um, was taken from this earth. It involves sex offenders and violent pedophiles and stuff. Whenever they move, they need to re-register in each city. And depending on the level of shithead you are, um, you can either just let the city know, or then you got to let the schools know, or you got to let the city, the schools, and your neighbors know. Um, I really hate pedophiles, man. That shit just bothers me. But let's go back 30 years. We're going to go back to July 29th, 1994. It was a hot day. As many of you guys know, in the 90s, you played outside, man. There wasn't all these big video games and cell phones and shit to keep you all huddled inside like a hermit. So Megan was outside riding her bike and playing in the yard. Her mother, Maureen, had told her, when it starts getting dark, come in the house. That's what we did. The streets light came on, you got your ass in the house. So when she looked around the house and she noticed that Megan's um, little sister was inside and her older brother was inside, she decided to go outside and probably was going to yell at her for being out so late. So she went outside and she didn't see her. She saw her bike laying on the grass. She saw her toys by the curb, but that's all she saw. So she looked around for a while, and I keep looking over there, but there's people walking, and my ADD just like, sorry. So she couldn't find Megan. So she got really scared and called the police. She called Hamilton Township Police Department. They came out. They did a search of her mother, Maureen, her house, and they searched the yard. And they didn't find anything. So Megan's mom, Maureen, gave them a detailed description of what she was wearing, a recent photo, and she also gave her a pair of shorts that were very similar to the shorts that she was wearing. Around 8 p.m., that's when she called the police department. That's when she decided to make notification. So this is when police decide to talk to the neighbor that saw her last, and it was a neighbor directly across the street. His name is Jesse Temendiquas. He said he saw her. It was around 2:30 in the afternoon. He was outside washing his boat, and he saw her playing in the street, and that was it. Um, the police asked if they could look inside his house, look in the yard, and look in the boat, and he had no problem with it. Nothing really stuck out to them in the house. So Jesse was living in the house with two other roommates. Uh, Police interviewed the other two roommates separately, as they typically do, and their stories and Jesse's story didn't jive. It didn't make any sense. So police asked Jesse again, you know, are you sure this is your story? And he says, you know what? I don't think it was 2:30. It could have been around 5:30. So as he's talking to the police again, they can see he's visibly shaking. Um, his hands are going like this, and he's profusely sweating. Um, and that's when they decide to take him to the headquarters for a more, I guess, formal interview. So Jesse agrees to go to the police station, but one stipulation: if he could drive himself. Uh, the police said, "We don't care as long as you go there." So they followed him there, and he said he was eager and willing to help out any way he can with the police investigation. So after he changed his story, the police decided to dig deeper into Jesse's background, and they find out he's got a history of crimes against children. Now I got a note over here. I want to read these notes for you. So in 1979, he pled guilty to the attempted aggravated assault of a 5-year-old. Okay. Uh, he got off with no jail time. The only stipulation the judge says was you have to go to counseling and meetings. Did Jesse do it? No, he didn't. And then June of 1981, he noticed a 7-year-old uh, walk by him and said, "Hey, do you want to follow me into the woods and see fireworks?" It's a 7-year-old kid, man. You say fireworks, I'd be down too, I think. Um, so they get in the woods and he strangled her and left her to die. Thank God her mother went looking for her and she found her. She said her face was all blue, just oxygen deprived. And the judge says, you're going to go to jail this time. So let me see. All right. So back to his charges, right? So they didn't give him jail time that first time around. As long as he went to counseling, but he didn't do that. So they wind up sending him off to the Middlesex County Adult Corrections Center, and he spent 9 months in there. On that second one in 1981, I'm just reading this again. He pled guilty to attempting to cause serious bodily harm to a child. The judge called him a danger to the public and children and gave him 10 years. He served 6. So this time where he he was supposed to spend the 10 years, was at a facility here. I believe it's in Avenel, but it's one of those, it's a jail, but it's for like offenders um that they don't want out of jail. It's like some sort of facility like that. My friends know what I'm talking about here. Um, so he served 6 years, and guess what? That's where he met his fucking roommates. They're all pedophiles. So again, by the time it got to 6:30 that night, um, his story changed. He said he saw her at 6:30 instead of the 2:30 and the 5:30 and all that stuff. So police got permission again from the homeowner because they were renting that house uh, for a search warrant to go inside the house, um, and inside his car. Inside his car, they found a toy chest and some black fabric. The following morning, the police went back to his house for another search. This time, he had his trash cans out by the curb. It wasn't there yesterday, and it's not trash day. They searched the trash, and they found rope with knots and a dry substance they think is blood on the waistband of a pair of like small pants. So all the stuff, that the fabric and the waistband that they found for a small pair of pants or shorts, they took it to Megan's mom, Maureen. And I'll be honest, I wouldn't know how to feel or what she felt looking at that stuff, and knowing that was her kids' clothes. I really don't know how I'd react. But they take Jesse. They take him back to the headquarters. Um, of course, he changes his shit again. So this is about the third time he changes his story. Now he's saying that the fabrics that they found were just torn up rags from work. And the blood on there, it was blood, but it was his because he cut himself at work. So he tied the stuff around his arms. So eventually, 6 hours of interrogation goes by. And he says, I need a break. Can I just talk to one of my roommates real quick? And the police said, sure. Because the police knew that they were just going to keep recording and keep on filming. And they figured he would open up more to one of his pedophile roommates. So one of the pedophile roommates, pedophile number 1 or 2, whatever it is, that scumbag went into the room and looked at Jesse and said, they got you, man. They got you. And that's when Jesse said, I know. I put her in Mercer County Park. Cops hear this, and Jesse agrees to go to Mercer County Park and help tell them where she's at. And I think I'll make a stop over there after we visit the grave and another spot. The house that Jesse lived in across the street, they tore that shit down. They got rid of that fucking place. Now it's like a little bit of a yard, and it's supposed to be like a memorial for Megan. So he takes the police to Mercer County Park, and he just tossed her in weeds and with a plastic bag over her head. And Jesse just finally broke down and was like, I get these urges. I don't. I still hate talking about this because it's gross. I That's why I was debating whether or not to talk about this. So he says, um, I saw her out there playing, riding her little bike, and my hands started getting a little sweaty. And I knew what that meant because he was already a pedophile. He was already trying to diddle children. And that's the same things that happen. His palms will get sweaty. And he said he gets the overwhelming urge to sexually violate children. I still hate talking about this because it's gross. I That's why I was debating whether or not to talk about this. So he says, um, I saw her out there playing, riding her little bike, and my hands started getting a little sweaty. And I knew what that meant because he was already a pedophile. He was already trying to diddle children. And that's the same things that happen. His palms will get sweaty. And he said he gets the overwhelming urge to sexually violate children. Sexually violate children. So, like I said, the Kanka family, they didn't want anybody else to go through this. But they also, sorry, I'm trying to hold the camera still. They also, they didn't know who lived across the street from them, man. They didn't know what these guys were, what type of house it was. They lived in, a community that they thought was safe from people like them. So that's when they got involved with the politics. And New Jersey signed the sexual offenders law, and they named it after Megan's law. It was passed in New Jersey. It was law in New Jersey, and then it became law, a federal law, which is enforced in all 50 states. So that's really the story of Megan Kanka. Her parents still live in the same house. They're grandparents now, and they still look across the street. The house isn't there, but you know damn well they see everything in their head like it was the same thing, like it was just that same day. And all this stuff from her going missing to him eventually getting locked up for this was like 2 days. Um, so we'll get out. We'll go walk over to her grave, and we'll go visit Megan. I hope this is recorded. I can't see shit in this sun. But if anybody ever comes down here, um, this place is beautiful. There's a lot of people out. And she's right here directly in front of us with the little child angel and the rubber ducky. So if you can read it, it says 1986, Megan Nicole to 1994, Kanka. That's little butterflies all over it, some hearts. It says, precious child in our hearts forever. So they did a lot of stuff here. I'm not sure if there's anything on the other side. So this must be Grandma, Dolores Puddin, May 18th, 1929 to October 29th, 2008. So I'm wondering if they're buried on this side or so as you see it now, I'm wondering if they're buried on the left side or the right side or both. So I usually come and I put like a rock on a grave and stuff like that. It's I believe it's just a Jewish tradition. I'm not Jewish, but it's a Jewish tradition. Um, just saying that somebody was here, somebody was thinking of you, and it's just a thing to show people that there was somebody here. But we're going to take a ride now over to the park, and then we'll go to the Kanka's house, or vice versa. I'll tell you guys in a minute.